The best time to protect yourself against influenza is before we see it starting to circulate in large amounts. So we are starting to detect cases in different parts of the country, and so now is the perfect time to go and get vaccinated. It does take about 2 weeks after you get your vaccine for your body's immune system to mount a good antibody response, and so you need to kind of factor that time into it as well. One of the things that we look at is what happens in the southern hemisphere. Sometimes this can help us to understand what we may be expecting. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily predict accurately, but last year during their flu season in Australia, they saw some of the highest rates of influenza that they've seen since 2019. And so that kind of makes us feel cautious going into this flu season that we may end up seeing high rates of influenza this year. So it's all the more reason for people to make sure they get their flu vaccine. It's one of the safest and most effective ways to prevent against flu illness and infection, and especially since we might be in for a bit of a rough flu year. Young children are actually one of the highest risk age groups for having a severe influenza illness. And so children under 2 years of age are one of the populations that we see end up in the hospital in high amounts when they get flu infection. And so that's why we really encourage everyone over 6 months of age, especially young children, to get a flu vaccine every year. It really helps to reduce the risk of having a severe influenza infection or ending up in the hospital or dying from flu. Getting them their first dose as soon as possible is especially important because they do need to still get that second dose in a month.